You're selling yourself and your ideas all the time. And then you go home and you got to sell your 4-year-old on getting in the car. You're selling all the time. Your life is sales. Embrace sales. And right now, if you just said you don't like sales, put a thing on your mirror that says, I love sales, and look at yourself in the face and say, you are a fucking badass salesperson every morning when you brush your teeth. Because it'll work, and you go from hating sales, like I used to hate sales, to now I consider myself a very good salesman. How to scale a business, raise your damn prices, number one. Number two, spend half your time selling and then half your time executing until you're about 200 grand of revenue. And these are all very loose numbers, guys. Spend half your time selling, 1/4 of your time executing, and 1/4 of your time hiring and training until you get to about 2 million of revenue. And then to 5 million in revenue, spend half your time selling, half your time recruiting, and then the fun starts beyond 5 million in revenue, spend 100% of your time recruiting, hiring, training, and making key decisions, all right? How many of you all are doing more than 5 million a year in revenue right now? Raise your hands. Any of your businesses doing more than 5 million a year in revenue? Okay, a handful. Everybody else, you're gonna need to do some executing, you're gonna need to do some selling. Okay, guys? Sales. This is not a pitch on sales. Raise your hand if you just don't like sales. It's a little bit uncomfortable. You would consider like, I hate sales actually. Maybe I actually freaking hate sales. Okay, so we got a couple people. I'm gonna tell those people that they need to go get a job. I was at a coffee shop in Ithaca, again, I went to school there. I was talking to a really wealthy person, and I remember it vividly. I'm like, I'm gonna start a company. I'm an entrepreneur now. I gotta start talking to really, seasoned people. So I found this guy who built a pretty big HVAC company, sat him down, and I said, I just hate sales. I'm not gonna do sales. And he's like, well, how are you gonna sell contracts? How are you gonna do this or that? I'm like, oh, I'm gonna hire the sales team. And he told me just what I told you. He's like, hey, if you don't like sales, you need to get a freaking job. And I'm so glad that very moment he was brutally honest with me, because if you're an entrepreneur, 99% of your job is sales. You're not just selling customers, you're selling your employees on joining your company. You're selling your investors on investing with you. You're selling your partners on trusting you. You're literally selling your vendors on selling to you, guys. You're selling yourself and your ideas all the time. And then you go home and you got to sell your 4-year-old on getting in the car. You're selling all the time. Your life is sales. Embrace sales. And right now, if you just said you don't like sales, put a thing on your mirror that says, I love sales, and look at yourself in the face and say, you are a fucking badass salesperson every morning when you brush your teeth. Because it'll work, and you go from hating sales, like I used to hate sales, to now I consider myself a very good salesman. I'm selling people on my vision. I'm selling people when I'm recruiting to get people to join my companies. All right, now I'm gonna talk about how to piss off your best employees. Do one of these two things, and if you wanna lose all your best employees, do both of them at the same time. Number one, make decisions extremely slowly and don't change anything. And when they come to you and they complain, and your employees will walk in your office and maybe you got a 10Xer, these employees that are really awesome, you know who I'm talking about, they just think like you, they're really good, they're driven. When they come in your office with ideas, talk a really big talk to them and then just do nothing. And number two, surround all of those A players, those 10Xers, surround them with C players so that they have to pick up the slack for everybody else. And then they're just gonna be in heaven. Those A players are they're gonna just love working for you. No, seriously though, you all have friends in corporate America, you've all been in corporate America. What do people in corporate America complain about? They complain about having to work with dumbasses, and they complain about nothing changing inside their company. That's all they complain about, that's why they hate their job. So if you can give people those two things, you can get some really great people, and you can do well. Now look, your organization will fall to the level of competence that you tolerate. I'm gonna say that again. The performance of your organization will fall to the level of competence that you tolerate. If you tolerate C players, and look, there's a time and a place for B players. I think B players are very important. If you tolerate C players and you let them hang around, your company in a couple years, a couple months, it will become a C-level organization. I'm gonna say that again. If you tolerate C players and you let them hang around, basically you don't have the guts to get rid of them, your entire company will become a C-level organization. I showed a picture of a lion earlier. I wasn't gonna bring this up, it was a little bit grotesque, but a lion pride will actually it'll murder the weak people in the pride. As a business owner, and leadership is really hard, guys, I'll tell you that. Leadership's really hard. I've fired enough people, it's never fun. It always sucks. I'm not heartless. But sacrificing the weakest link in your company is very, very often necessary to do what's best for everybody else, okay? And all of you are thinking, if you have companies, you might be thinking of, I'm gonna ask you a question just so you actually think of it. Who's somebody at your company that you're just not sure about? You spend a lot of time trying to get them better. They've made some mistakes, and you always say, oh, I think next time they're gonna do a little bit better. I think I can help them get a little bit better. I think they'll improve. I'm gonna keep working with them. I'm gonna give them another chance. Fire that person now. The best time to fire that person was a couple months ago. The second best time to fire that person is right now. Leave this room, call them up, and tell them they're done. When should I fire somebody? I got a little ahead of myself. The second it comes to your head that somebody might not be a good fit at your company, they need to be gone. The person you're thinking about right now needs to go. And look, I'm not trying to say that people don't change. I've seen people change. I've seen people improve. I've seen people stop being a pain in the ass. But that's maybe 20% of the time that they actually change. And in business, I feel like I'm playing poker. I'm playing the odds every day. And I like to play when the odds are in my favor. I spend enough time, I've wasted enough time trying to change people to know that most people don't change, and I don't like those odds. So therefore, I'm not in the business of trying to change people. Repeat after me again. I'm not in the business of trying to change people.
Big news, guys. I created a free PDF that details my method on how I analyze a self-storage facility and figure out what it's worth. Give me a pen, the back of a napkin, and a couple metrics, and I can figure out about what the property is going to be worth to me. If you want to download this PDF, click in the show notes, the first link, and you can give me your email address, and you get a email right away with a 4-page PDF that outlines exactly how I think about underwriting or giving my initial analysis on a self-storage facility. Again, click the link in the show notes, and you're going to get that document for free.
This episode of Sweaty Startup is brought to you by SupportShepherd.com. SHEPHERD. They are a full-service headhunting agency in the Philippines to help you find talent for your service business at 20% of the cost of U.S. equivalents. I've hired 8 employees through Support Shepherd. I cannot speak highly enough about how it is revolutionizing my business. This company finds you candidates. They background check them, they do personality tests, they make sure they're a good fit based on your job description, they set up the interviews, and they even help you with the employment contract when you're ready to make the hire. I cannot recommend them enough. Check out SupportShepherd.com to learn more.